Hi everyone and welcome. Today we are going through our 1.3 notes for Algebra 2. Your goal after watching this video should be able to confidently write interval notation based off of a number line and also write a number line based off of given interval notation. So the first thing for interval notation that it made me think of was actually buying a car. So if you are a car buyer, you have a budget. And let's say you have $4,000 to spend. It's your first car you've been saving for a while and, a pretty good sum. All right, so $4,000. But if you got a good deal on a car, you would also be very happy to pay $2,500 for a car. That's possible. You would even pay $1,000 if possible. Some people get cars as gifts. They pay $0. So all of these are possible values for buying a car. Now, technically speaking, you could have a negative value. Someone could pay you to buy their car, but not very realistic. So if you have $4,000, this is what your number line looks like. While it keeps going in all of our directions here, we start at 0, because realistically you can't do much better than getting a free car, and you go all the way to 4,000, right? You can spend $4,000. So that's what it looks like. Okay, now let's take a look. I'll do this in a different color. If I'm a seller, selling the car, and I buy the car that you're trying to purchase, and let's say that I buy it for, $2,000. If I'm a seller, and maybe I'm a dealer, I need to stay in business. So I can't sell the car for less, I can't take a loss. But I'd be very happy to sell this car to you for $4,000 because I would make money. I would even sell it to you for, let's say, $6,000. Really, anything over $2,000, I'm happy. Anything under, I can't do it. And honestly, for $2,000, just breaking even, I wouldn't stay in business. So I need to make some money. So more than $2,000. So I'm doing an open circle here because it actually can't be equal to $2,000, right? We got to make at least a little bit if I'm a seller. And this interval actually goes on forever. A seller would take an infinite amount of money for the car, as long as it's more than $2,000. So by the end of today, we should be able to come back and actually write out the intervals for this. And I'm going to do that later. So we'll come back, we'll write the intervals, but here's an example of a place where we can apply interval notation to do a little bit of low-level economics, or just basically understanding sets of numbers. All right, so definition for today, we are looking into interval notation. And our definition for interval notation is the set of numbers lying between the beginning and ending numbers of that interval. All right, so let's use our examples here. So we had our buyer was anywhere from, on a number line, 0 to 4,000. So this interval begins at 0, it includes 0, and ends at 4,000, it includes 4,000. So the way that we would write this interval is because it includes 0, we use a bracket. We start at 0, and we finish at 4,000. And another bracket because that's included. All right, what about our seller, though? So they were anywhere from 2,000 to infinity, except not equal to 2,000, right? They need to get at least a little bit more. So not equal to 2,000 means instead of a bracket, you use a parentheses, and it goes all the way forever and forever. So that little symbol there means infinity. All right, so first, when we have an interval, just like we did here, we need to see where the interval begins and ends. Next, determine if our interval points are open or closed. So an example here, for 2,000, that is open, and for 0, that is closed. Finally, use brackets, and I'll draw it in, for included or closed. So we include 4,000, so that's why it's closed, and use parentheses for open or excluded. So, excuse me, 2,000, sorry, I'm joking. 2,000 is open, so it's excluded. We can't actually sell that car for $2,000. All right, so let's go into our example questions. So in the top left here, let's start. So our interval, it starts at A, and it keeps going forever, so it ends at infinity. Here, I know it's hard to tell because I didn't copy over well, but that should be an open circle. So if it's open, we use parentheses, and we always use parentheses for infinity because we can't actually equal infinity. All right, let's keep going here. Again, open and open. Sorry, the copy came through weird. So we start at B, we end at A, and again, both of these are open. They are not equal to. And I'll draw these in here. I know the copy didn't go through, so if you're doing this on your paper, you'll be able to see. So actually all of them on the first two columns are open. We do have some closed examples though on the last column. All right, so let's go to a challenge question here. So we have two intervals shown on the same number line. So this interval goes all the way to the left. So we start at negative infinity because it never stops, and we end at 2. And we also have an interval here that starts at 6 and goes on forever, goes on to infinity. And again, both of these are open, so parentheses. So we have two intervals for the same question, and the way that we write that is we put a U in the middle. And all that U means is union. So for all of our problems going on here with two intervals, write the intervals there, write a U in the middle, and that just means the union of both of those intervals. A quick reminder, we got some brackets. We got some parentheses. We have a parentheses and a bracket. So just be careful with open versus closed. All right, so I know we did this on the example, but let's just quickly go back to recap. Looking at our interval here, our buyer is only able to pay between $0 and $4,000. So if the dealer wanted to get $5,000 for this car, they wouldn't be able to sell it to this buyer. They'd have to find someone else. The seller starts off at $2,000 but can't accept $2,000, needs to get, let's say, at least $2,001, right? So it's a parentheses, it's open, and they could sell it for an infinite amount of money, and they would if they could. So that's what we're looking for there. Interval notation today, a little bit of vocab, not a whole lot of calculating or solving. And again, any questions, let me know. Please make sure to submit your form for this lecture as well, answering a couple questions there. Thanks, everyone. And